Hello Voyagers, welcome back to your channel. This is a second part to the previous video. I'm going through free website series. Um, this one will try to address adding content and make it a little bit more dynamic, the issue. I've seen your comments. You have mentioned it. Okay, so now we have established and how can we add comments? How can we add, the content and new content? So just a brief explanation. So this is a static website. There is no OS behind it. There's no supervision of some sort as a server. Um, it's just bunch of files in a hard drive in a storage, and technically what GitHub let us do is when our domain is called or our URL is called, um, some user requested for our domain, it's going to send all those files to the user. So that's technically what's happening. So we have to know our limitation here. So that's why we cannot implement comment, likes, sign in, sign up. All of these are small interactions that needs to be saved somewhere. And since all of our code are sent to users' browsers, as much as changes they do over there, it's just going to be saved on their browsers. And we cannot have any unified data anywhere since we don't have a server to save these. So further in the future, we'll go through how to set up a CMS, something that you could set up a server with. If you want to have a website with lots of interactions like this, like, comment, sign in, sign up, buying stuff, this is not your solution. It might come as a bummer, but this is not your solution. You need some good server to supervise, have some logics, verify steps, and stuff like that. Here, we just want to have a face, have a page with some small functionality that we can add without bringing the server and all the overhead of the server into our equation. So jumping to it, by the way, so the main goal of this video is to how to add a post or a blog with smallest steps possible. Again, note that we have to change the code and hard code some things because still is static, still it's going to be a bunch of files sitting somewhere. So we need to have those files ready in one way or another. So as you might remember, this is the previous, I have added a little bit touch up, but previously we have developed this web page, consists of just the latest video and a blog, which is one post hard coded in it, and a contact section, and the merch, which is like coming soon. Not actually my merch, but just a template here. Yeah, so what we are going to do is trying to figure out how to add posts with the minimal steps. We don't want to go to the code each time, add a header h3 and add an article and copy paste the previous one, and then trying to add one tag at a time and add a button every time, stuff like that. We want to just write a piece of text, and in this case, Markdown text, which I will show you in a little bit. And technically, what we want to get from that is, so it just renders it for us in our blog section. I've searched a little bit, and I have found this PageDown JavaScript package, if we can call it, a library, or just piece of codes. And it's been developed by Stack Overflow and Stack Exchange Network. It can be run on a browser or a server, either or. and is as simple as that, so that it creates a converter, and you can call make HTML and give it a text which with the syntax of Markdown, and then you receive HTML. And that's kind of what we are trying to do here. So first and foremost, let's find the GitHub page, GitHub repository for that. So I'm just gonna go to GitHub. I'm gonna search for PageDown. I have searched it before, so it's there. We can find it here, Stack Exchange, PageDown. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna download the zip, right? It's just the easiest way. And I am going to extract them. Okay, I have extracted here. I'm just gonna rename it, remove the master, just call it PageDown. And what I want to do is we need to import these 3 files. So these 3 files, let me just make this a little bit bigger for you guys. All right, that sounds better. Converter, editor, sanitizer. We're going to import all 3, and we most probably need only the first one, but I have not went through all the documents, and I don't know if they're interrelated and they need each other's code, but I'm just gonna import them all. But at the end, we can just remove the rest to the editor and the sanitizer and see if it's still working. So I'm just gonna right click, copy relative path, and I'm gonna come down here, script src, gonna paste it. I think we need a backslash as well, and a type of text JavaScript. That's it. Just gonna copy paste this down a couple of times, and this one gonna be a editor, and this one gonna be a sanitizer. All right, so we have imported them into our main HTML. There are a couple of codes needed in our script, which we will go through. But before that, we just wanna give it a try and see if it's actually working. So here is my local server running, right? If you also don't know, I have a short video for that. So there's an extension called Live Server, and yeah, when you install that, you can right click on the index and open with Live Server here, and then you can have a local development playground, play with it, test things, and when you're done with it, you can push it to the GitHub. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go to console, and we should be able to access the converter now, since it's, I'm gonna refresh to make sure that it's in. And if I come down here, there's this piece of code, var converter equals new markdown dot converter, and I'm gonna copy paste that, bring it here to the console, paste it, and now I have the converter. So let's give it a try, right? So if I convert make HTML and give it some markdown text, yeah, that would work, right? So let's see. All right, so now we have an h3 here, slash slash and a slash new line to 2 new lines, and then a paragraph with a strong text, which is a bold in HTML. So as we can see, it's converted fine. But there are some problems with it, which will we address soon. So if I add some space here, or some space here, then let's see what's happening. So now I have only a paragraph with this and then another paragraph with this. Like, so the spaces matters. That's all I'm trying to say. The spaces matter, especially the uh, space at the start of our text. So this is really important note. So knowing that it's working, we can go ahead and trying to make this blog thing work. All right, so let's go to the VS Code again. So what we can do is we need some place to paste or write our Markdown texts, right? And it can be anywhere, and we don't want to show it. Why, you may ask? Because we are getting that text and rendering it to the HTML file or HTML elements, and we're going to show that and not the actual texts. And future, we might be able to get it from another file like these markdowns over here, but as of now, I have not found a workaround yet. Yeah, I still don't know. We might have a tag for it, like embedding it, but I'm still searching for that. If I come up with anything, I'll let you know. But as of now, what we can do, for example, is just create a text area with a class of post, for example. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a style of display and none. Okay, so that it doesn't show it on our website. And I'm gonna add 3 posts just for the sake of it, and I'm gonna copy this to the first one. There are some space over here, just take a note of that. And this is the problem that we might face in the future, as I mentioned earlier. So I can remove it or I can leave it because we are going to find a solution for it. The thing is, most of the editor might have auto format, and if you like Ctrl+Shift+P, format document, this might come back or forth. We don't know. It might happen, and you might we might by mistake just press 1 space, and still we might face bugs. So we need to make sure that we are kind of safeguarding this. We need to make sure what kind of a text are we passing to our converter. Note that for the later on. All right, so this is the first post. Let me just get a couple of other posts. Instead of this image, which is not working, I'm going to get this image right here, copy relative path, paste it, and I'm gonna get this. Also need to change that. Second text area. Let's keep it that way. So all of them are 2 tabs in. There are 8 spaces behind them, and technically there might be a problem with that, but we are going to check. We're going to see. We'll see. And let me add the third post. Really doesn't matter which one. I just want to get some sample data here that I can work with. All right. Okay, so the 3 text areas are in. If I refresh, check the elements, they are in, but the display is none, so it's not showing. Okay. Now, what I want to do is write a small script so that it takes all the text areas, take the text content from them, the contents of them, and then parse them and make them neat a little bit, kind of trim the white spaces off of them. We do a little bit of process on that, and then we pass it to the converter. we get the HTML code out of it, and then we create new articles in our blog. So if you check here, each blog contains of like different articles, right? And we'll create the same thing. So I'm going to just leave this here as of now, and then we'll get back to it. All right, so now let's go to script. So this function, I left it here. I was trying something else before, and then this part is still useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an event listener on my document, which is the whole HTML file. If the DOM content is loaded, then this function that I'm going to write is going to be called. So first and foremost, we need our converter, right? So converter, new Markdown converter, this, like this, just to make sure. Just come here. Yes, that's how it is. All right, now we have our converter. Secondly, we need all the text areas. So const text areas, and that is document. I don't want to get it just by the tag name, so I'm trying to not use the Codium suggestions here. Get element, no, actually not get element, query selector. We want to query all of the posts, or we might be able to say text area.post. Let's see if that works. We can actually give it a try. So I'm just going to copy it here, and let's go here, paste it. All right, it works. It works. So this is more specific. The text areas with the class of post. That's what we want. That's what we want. So we have our text areas now. We also need the blog section on top, because we need, when we created our articles, we want to append them one by one. So const blog section, which is document.query selector. It's a section with hashtag blog. That's correct, actually. So when we come here, check it out. Yes, it's a section with the ID blog. So that is correct. So now we have our blog too. Now let's iterate through each text areas and make our article one by one. So what we will do is we go through text areas. For each text area, it's just singing everything. So for each text area, we want to create the HTML, but it's not from that, it's the text content. So we're getting the text content of the text areas, which are those texts in syntax of Markdown that we have written. And we want to create an HTML out of it. I don't want to just leave HTML like this. What I want to say, that should be fine. I don't think if there's a conflict. We need to make sure that we don't use any specific conflict here. So now we have our HTML, right? And we need to create our article. So const article document create element article. All right. So now we have a new article. We want to attach those data inside our article just to make sure. Let's take a look at our article here. So our article is consists of a h3, a div, and a button. All right. So our text, for example, this one, well, it has some headers. So it's either h3, h2, or whatever, and but it doesn't have a button, and the rest could come off as a paragraph. So technically, when we are changing Markdown to HTML, we do have our header, we do have our paragraphs and stuff, and photo or whatever that is inside. We don't have the button, all right? So technically, what we need is to just say article.innerHTML equals the HTML. So now the header and paragraphs and all the contents are in, and the button is still left out. So what we are going to do is just create a button, and document create element button, and then button.class name is button border. That's correct, actually. We can double check here. Yes, it's button border, and the content inside is all right. It added everything for me. We are going through one by one. So button text content is read more. Then we're going to add our article as a child. We're going to append it to the blog section. This is not correct, so I'm going to shift this up. We're going to add our button to our article and add the article to the blog section. We're going to append in this order. So now we have gone through all the text areas. We got the text, we convert them, we created a new article with everything that we need, and append them in the right place. Well, let's just give it a try. Let's see how does it work. I'm gonna refresh. It didn't work. Let's go to console. We got a problem here. Markdown converter is not a constructor. So just, it's with capital C, that's the problem. So I'm just gonna get this, or I can just make this capital C, and that should be fine. Refresh again. All right, so now I have post 1 here, post 2, and post 5, for example. Like these are my 3 posts, right? Don't mind the actual number of the posts because I got it randomly. As you can see, posts are rendered, articles are rendered fine, but the first one is rendered correctly. Like we can see actually the H3 here. If you check, we have an H3, but there is, again, in our, yeah, this is working. It needs some styling, that this is out a little bit, but that's fine still. I mean, the key points still works, or the list works. So the H2. But the problem is the second one and the third one is not rendered very, correctly. Like this one is not rendered as list, this one is, and the image is not at all rendered. And yeah, and what is happening here is the space problem that I told you about. So it considered the whole post as a code, since it was so many spaces. So we added them all in a pre and a code tag respectively. It's because of just these small spaces over here, also here. Anyway, so that's the main problem. So we need to address that. Before we send the text content, we need to make sure they are neat, without extra white spaces, and with enough distinguishable from each other, and make it kind of standard. So what we need to do, we need to write a function. So we are going to write a function called function, let's call it trim markdown. Okay, and it's gonna receive a text. What needs to be done here? Okay, so we are getting the text, and right off the bat, what we can do, we can trim the text. We can remove the white spaces from the beginning and the end, start and the end of our text, our string. And right after that, we want to separate them by new line. So we are going to call split and get them separated by the new line. After we got them separated, now we have a list of lines without any other separation. We got each line together, right? What we need to do now is to loop through each line. So I'm gonna loop through each line and get each line if the line, we want to remove any extra lines, extra new lines, or any extra white spaces around each lines. That's what we are trying to achieve, right? So if our line gets trimmed, I mean white spaces is removed from both sides, and their length is bigger than 0, which means if you have a line, if we trim it and the length is 0, which means all of that line was white spaces. So it was an empty line, and we don't want an empty line. It's not useful here. So if we trim the line and the length is bigger than 0, it's not an empty line, and we want to add it, we want to add them together. Therefore, we need a result somewhere that we can accumulate and append all of our lines and make the whole text together at the end. So I'm gonna say like how trimmed text equals an empty string, okay? And then what I'm going to do here is, so if that line was not empty technically, what I need to do is trimmed text plus equal that line with trim plus, well, 2 new lines. So we're going to go to the head of a line, to the beginning of the line, and then come one down. Just added 1 separation in each line that we are writing. So in this case, there are no white spaces, and between each line there are a new line, which is easily parsable by our converter. And after all of that, after we have finished looping through, what we want to do with this function is, well, return the trimmed context, trimmed text, yeah. Now we are going to use that here. So before we make the HTML, what we want to do is get the, like, we can call it parsed, const parsed markdown, okay? Trim markdown, and then we get that, and then we use the parsed markdown to convert it to HTML. And now let's try this out. Okay, now our image is in, the paragraph is working, the lines are working, the list, yeah, everything seems to be working. This is the H1, this is H3. Interestingly, the H1 is smaller than H3, but yeah, that needs a separate investigation. But what we can do when we write things by ourselves, we can make sure that we start with H3 maybe, not the H1. Yeah, there was another H2 here, so we can H4 maybe. Yeah, now there are more neat and clean. So there's one thing left, and that is a styling over here. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get this one, so it's a UL, and there was one. Well, we're gonna use the same styling for OL as well, so that if it's numbered, it would still work. And we need to try different things to make sure that we're addressing everything here. But as of now, what I need is to go to CSS and search for article, and well, here I'm gonna write UL and OL and margin left to rem. That should work. Yeah, way better. Amazing. Yeah, so here it is, technically. I guess I have covered the things I wanted to mention. I'm gonna remove the original article from here. I don't need it anymore up here. Or what I can do is, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So H3, I want to add this actually as an article. So I'm gonna come here, say text area, same, yes. And what I'm gonna write here is, first of all, I don't need to go back again. I can write it from here. So I want this to be H3, and I want these sections here, yeah, and I want this to be italic, if that works. Or maybe 3 of them. And that's it. Let's see. All right. This is not italic. I mean, add an EM to it. What was the EM HTML tag again? Used to define emphasized text. Displayed in italic, and I don't see it displayed in italic, but it's supposed to. I mean, that might be a font problem. since our font is, yeah, well, what I can do is, oh yeah, that's the problem. So it doesn't let it. I need to add it. So that's the thing. So you need to add different things to make sure that this is working. So I'm gonna define font style italic just to make sure that this is working. Now it's working. Now this is italic. Yeah, so all the EMs, which it's supposed to be italic, but since I have defined everything to be in normal by default, I need to add another CSS to fix that. Anyway, so now I'm going to remove the article, the hard-coded one here, up here. Yes. And this comment as well, I don't need it. Now, yes. Now I only have my post over here. These posts, by the way, are just AI generated. I did not create that except the first one. Yeah, so this is how we can address hard coding, blogging in a static website. Something that when we don't have a backend or a server to handle these kind of stuff for us. I hope it was helpful. I want to show you one other thing which I will cover in my next video, and that is Jekyll, they call it. Yes. So Jekyll is a really good tool. You still don't need backend for it. It's really nicely integrated with GitHub Pages. I'm going to go through that. It has more complexity than just HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript. You need to know how directories are working, and well, some small concepts, not really complicated at all. It's very simple. And the good thing is you can, there are two good things. So first of all, it's really good integrated, very well integrated with GitHub Pages. So I can just show you right here. If I go to setting, go to pages, and there's just right here. So you can integrate this very easily. And you can also have some small coding with Ruby, which I don't know anything, but we are going to learn together. There's no problem with that. And just in the resources, I want to show you, like, there are a bunch of sites which can offer you themes, which you can choose your theme, and technically, so like there's a demo. It's very cute, very nice. There's a CV part here as well, and there are source code and everything. So you can choose different theme for your Jekyll. Jekyll, yeah, I think that's the right pronounce, but let me know if I'm wrong. Yeah, you can employ that. The good thing is it has permanent link, so when you write a blog, it can give you a direct link to that article, to that blog, and it's a bit more flexible. Yeah, it's really nice, and it's also integrating with different software and plugins as well. But I'm not going to go through that. This is just a sneak peek to the next video that I'm going to cover. So the next video is going to be Jekyll with GitHub Pages. Stay tuned. Just the last note, it really depends on how you want to use your website. If it's a static and you're going to change it once, GitHub Pages would be more than fine. I have been hosting my own website on GitHub pages forever, and I have never chose a backend server for it. My bad. Missed an H. I was like, what? Yeah. So I even have my products here, like a GitHub calendar, activity calendar. Feel free to use it. You can access it in my GitHub as well. I have my projects here, and their demo pages. They're all on GitHub. Like this one is with React. React JS, and it's all in front end. There's no back end. As I said, you cannot have backends when you're hosting on a GitHub pages. But anyway, you can have different things, and if it's enough for you, this might be your solution. But if you need interaction, if you need likes, comment, share, sign in, sign up, purchasing, stuff like that, that you need verification steps, you need a backend to have the logic and make sure that logic is comply on your website, then you need a backend, you need a server for that. So it all depends on what you need. And yeah, so that was all. I hope it was helpful. I hope you liked it, and I hope your concern was addressed. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like it. Please wait a minute. Like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video so far. And thanks for watching this far. And yeah, all you can help at this point is just subscribing me or sharing it with your friends or whoever that might need it. We can do most of our projects together, so we don't really need to pay lots of commercial softwares to do it for us, and that's what I kind of like. Unless we have to, and it's a huge hassle, then well, we go pay some. Anyway, I should stop yapping. Thanks again for watching, and leave your comments and ideas down below. Hope to see you in the next one. Have a good one.